Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah. Al-Fatihah. Abdurrahman bin Zil Habsyi Allah darajatul jannah wa fa'alna bihim wa bi'allahu salam. Wa la akhirana la ta'ala wa la nafi amalihim akhlaqna bi akhlaq. Bisul ila hadrat Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah bil alamin arrahmanir rahim maliki yaumiddin iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nawaitu ta'alluma wa ta'lim wa tadhakkura wa tadhkir wa an-naf'a wal intifa' wal ifada wal istifada wal hatha an tamassuki bi kitabillahi wa sunnati rasulih wa ad-du'a ila al-huda wa ad-dalalata 'ala al-khair ibtigha'a wajhillahi wa mardati wa qurbihi wa thawabihi amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. So to continue on the kitab Habib Ahmad bin Zil Habsyi on kitab Risalatul Jami'ah, we have arrived at the kitab of Zakat, and we have arrived until the types of obligatory Zakat. We have covered the livestock last week, so now we will go into the second one. Oh yeah, and livestock, there is one on the cattle. Yeah, this is the updated chart, because last week I think there was some errors on the 60 to 70 or something. So anyway, I have corrected this. This is the, if anyone want a correct chart, this is the correct one. So okay, other than that, okay, we will go into the second type of zakat, zakatul mal, the zakat on wealth. So it is the zakat on grains and fruits, or zakat on crops, whatever is grown from the earth. So with conditions, not everything that is grown from the earth is zakatable. So it's called mu'asyarat in Arabic. Is defined as mu'asyarat because the zakat rate is originally 10% if all the conditions are met. And it can also be 5% or between 5 to 10%. This all depends on the irrigation method, how you irrigate the crops. So it can be anywhere between 5 to 10%, but not more than 10%. And there are conditions to be met before it is deemed zakatable or not. So the dalil comes from the Quran, but pay the due thereof on the day of the harvest. Suratul An'am 141. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ on a land irrigated by rainwater or by natural water channels, or if the land is wet due to a nearby water channel, 110. You pay 110. It's compulsory as zakat. And on the land irrigated by well, it is half of 110, which is 1/20, which is 5%. That's the zakat. So we will go through this. So in the hadith, it describes how much to give, 10%, 5%, and how you derive to 7.5 or between 5 to 10. We will go through together later. So in the Quran, it just says, just pay the zakat on the day of the harvest. So take note, in the zakat al-mu'asyarat, the zakat is due on the day of harvest, on the harvest. That means there's no haul, there's no cycle to be. It's not. It doesn't have to be. It's not. You don't have to wait for a cycle. You don't have to wait for a haul. So zakat on grains and fruits. What is defined as grains and what is fruits here? So zakat on grains is agricultural yield planted by human, must be planted by human, not those crops that grow like naturally grow, then belongs to no one, or it just grow at your backyard and just you can take, anybody can take. It's like public for public use or what, this is not zakatable because it's not being grown by you, not being grown by a human. And except for vegetables, seasonings, medicinal herbs, and fresh fruits, these are all what is that? Not zakatable. Yeah, vegetables no, seasonings no, because medicinal herbs and fresh fruits, these are all not zakatable. Later we will go through why. So the those zakatable are agricultural yield planted by human, which can be stored or used as regular food, or dried or preserved. So the nature of the crop must be mostly grains. It must be a grain and can be stored or can be preserved, uh, and used as a staple food, as a regular food in good times, not in bad times. It means it's not during war, nobody, you don't have anything to eat and you eat like, an example will be like handal. Handal is watermelon seed or sunflower seed, all this. Uh, some of them can use this as food during bad times. But during good times, when there's plenty of food and enough food, people won't eat this as as their regular food, as their main food. So it must be a staple food in good times, in normal times. So the examples are like barley, wheat, rice, corn, seeds from plants, some seeds, not everything, and peas, chickpeas, and broad beans and beans and nuts, almonds, pistachios. All these are considered zakatable grains because they can be stored and can be used as regular food. No zakat on seasonings, example coriander and cumin, because these are not actually food, but they are used to season, to prepare the food, but they are not like the main food. So what is zakatable is the main food that you can make into like lentil soup and all this. These are considered like main food. That's for grains. Then for fruits very easy. Only dates and grapes are zakatable. Other fruits are all not zakatable. You have like a big plantation of bananas and what papaya or coconut or whatever. Is all not zakatable. Only dates and grapes because of the hadith. There's no other hadith describing zakats on other fruits. So, but when it's supposed to be zakat, when you have to pay the zakat, we will later on we will go through. So grains clear, and fruits only dates and grapes. That's it. Doesn't matter green grapes or red grapes or black grapes, as long as grapes. And they only zakatable when it turns into resin and it's dried. So the conditions. These are the conditions. When we go through the conditions, then you will understand better. Conditions necessitating zakat on grains and fruits. So if the crop is a grain type, that is a staple. It's a staple of people's diet, such as wheat, barley, rice, corn, etc. They are cultivated, not grew by themselves. The grain is a staple food in normal times, not in desperate times. The grain should be able to stored in a reasonable time frame or preserved. Other type of food are not liable for zakat. Yeah, this is the summary. Yeah. Then for fruits, the fruit is dates and grapes. Yeah, this is I just summarized the same thing just now. So zakat is not paid on other groups, other fruits. But of course, if you have a plantation of banana, let's say, or papaya, or fruit or orchard or something, whatever you have other fruits, they are not liable for zakat. But when you trade them, you have to pay zakat on the what is that? The money you get. But that will other conditions will be zakatul tijarah. You will fall under the business, zakat of business. Okay. So number 3, the fruits have ripened. That's now the first two, yeah. The first two. If the crop is a grain, that is staple food. If the crop is fruit, then they are dates and grapes only. Number 3, the crops have ripened. The crops must have ripened for fruits and hardened for grains. So it must like basically is when it's deemed consumable, consumable as consumable. It's not like something that is still not ripe or not hardened enough for to be eaten. Then it's not yet zakatable. It's only liable for zakat when it's ripened. It has ripened for fruits and hardened for grain. The portion of zakat is now so okay when you have the fruits have ripened or the grains and the grains have hardened. The portion of zakat is now owned by the poor. However, distributing the zakat is only obligatory when the grains and fruits have been dried, which would be dry dates and raisins for the fruits. So dates, they must be like ready to eat. It's like the condition dried already, not like in rooftop stage and not in the half ripe stage. That one they have special rulings on the zakat on rooftop and all this, but we won't go through that. That one um, is a branch of this. So basically, for dates, it has to be dried, and for grapes also have to be dried. So when it's dried, it becomes resin. That means resin you can store for 1 year, 2 years also you can store if you store it properly. But if like uh, grapes, naturally it will dry and become resin. So you cannot store grapes too long unless you put in the freezer or something. So whoever sells fruits or grains after the period in which the zakat was due is still liable for the payment as he was in possession of them at the time they were due. So if he haven't, that means when the zakat is he have harvested the fruits and the grains. Now it's ready for eating, but it's not zakatable yet. He have to dry it first. Once it's dried, then the portion should be given to. So the portion can be calculated before is being dried, but the zakat is only wajib to be given out when it's already dried and clean from all like you have to, what is that, winnowed from all the husk and whatever uh, unwanted stuff and the branches and whatever. So you have to clean them and give to the poor. Whoever sells before they give out the zakat, then it's still liable for him to pay the zakat. So he can sell it, but he's still liable for whatever he have to pay. So like I said just now, all one lunar year cycle is not a condition in zakat of crops. So it's automatically zakatable once once it's being harvested. So it can take 6 months, 1 year. It depends on what crops you're looking at. And okay, number 4, it must have reached the nisab. Nisab amount for zakat on grains and fruits is khamsa aswak, awsak, khamsa awsak. So five wasaks, awsak, five awsak, five wask. So this is a measurement used by them in those times. So the Prophet said, there is no zakat on grains or dates until such items weigh 5 wask. khamsa aswaq, khamsa awsaq, 5 awsaq. So 5 wask is actually approximately 610 kilograms. Some say 609, some say 630, some say 620. So the minimum I saw was about 609 or 603. And maximum is 825. Some scholars quoted 825. So to play safe, you can take the minimum number, 610 or 609. Most of them say about 610 or 620. So this is a net dried weight, which must be free of husks and shafts. So it must be clean. It has already been cleaned. You have this amount, then it's zakatable. If you have like 500 plus kilos, 550 kilometers after cleaning all the husks and whatever, you have 590 kilos of dates or or raisins, then it's not zakatable. It's only liable for zakat when it reaches 5 wasks. 5 wasks is about 610 kilograms. So for grapes, it must be dried first. Yeah, if it's not dried, then you don't know what's the actual weight yet. So for food stored in the kernels, such as rice, the nisab is approximately 1,220 kilograms of dried wheats. This is according to the scholars. So this is how they weigh. So we are not really familiar with this because we don't do farming. But those who are into farming and harvesting and all this, they should know all these numbers. If not, it will be problematic for them to pay zakat. So mixed variants, they should mix variants of some crops for the same year in order to see like the same year, within the same year, in order to see if they add up to the nisab. For example, you can mix grades of or types of dates. Doesn't matter. This is what grapes, ajwa, and this one is I don't know, majul or something else. All the types of grape doesn't matter as long as you have 610 kilograms of dates. Doesn't matter what dates. Then once you hit the nisab, you have to pay zakat. It doesn't have to be like you have to have 610 kilograms of ajwa only, but you have like 300 kilograms of ajwa and 400 kilograms of some other types of dates. Then you say, oh, it hasn't reached the nisab. No, you must mix together. Then, of course, it has met the nisab. So once it is more than 610, it has reached 610 kilograms, you have to give out zakat. And when you give out the zakat, you have to take from like if you have more ajwa, then you have to give more ajwa accordingly, the percentage. But if it's too hard, then you can take like the middle ground, the mid quality stuff. Like you have 1,000 kilograms of ajwa, maybe you have 500 kilograms the high quality and 500 of low quality, or maybe 200 of low quality and 300 mid quality. So you have to give up from a bit from the high, a bit from the low, and a bit from the middle. But if it's too hard to sort, then you just give up from the middle quality. You cannot give up from the low quality only, because that will be unfair for the zakat recipients. And you also don't have to give out from the high quality only, because it's unfair for you. But if you want to, then it's okay. It's up to you. If you really want to give out the best quality, it's better. But the ruling is you have to give out of a bit of what you have. So like accordingly. But if it's hard, then give up from the meat quality. But you don't have to mix things that you cannot mix. Okay, first you have to mix, like even brown rice and white rice, you can mix to have to see whether it has met the nisab. It doesn't matter as long as it's rice. Like same thing, like if you have um, corns, different type of corns or whatever, you just see whether you meet the nisab with all the types of corns. But if it's a different thing like wheat and barley, you don't mix, or barley and dates, you don't mix. So if you don't reach, you don't have enough. Like say you have 300 kilograms of barley, and you have 500 kilograms of dates. So total will be 800, which is past the nisab. But actually you have no zakat to pay because it's of different category. This is like 500 of dates. 500 kilogram is below 610, so no need to pay. And barley also you have 300, you don't need to pay. Even if you mix and you have 800, because it's of different type. But if it's of the same type, same category but different type, like I said just now, same category, like that means grapes. You have green grapes and red grapes, you can mix. You have to mix to see whether it has reached the nisab. I hope that's clear. So measure of compulsory zakat payable on grain and fruits. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Just now we have mentioned this. So it's either 110, which is 10%, or 1/20, half of 110, which is 1/20, which is 5%. So there's three category basically. The original category is the 10%. That's why it's called muasyarat. So if it's irrigated, if the crop is irrigated with no inconvenience or effort, no hardship, that means you don't have to look for water. The water it comes from the rain or nearby river. You just you just flow it to your crops. So free water and all this, and water streams or self-irrigated like from its roots or something, then you have to pay 10% of whatever you harvest if it has reached the nisab. But second category is 5% if it's irrigated through some degree of effort or hardship. Like you have to take water from the well and transfer to your crops, or you require some machinery or equipment to like divert some water to your crops, or you have to purchase water. You have to buy water. There's no natural water source down there. In this case, you pay 5% only because there's some hardship, so your zakat is less. The third category is half-half. That means the crop was irrigated in both manners. That means it's irrigated sometimes with rain, sometimes with rainwater, and sometimes with well water, or like half-half, 3 months, or something like that, or like both is irrigated by rainwater and also by natural ways, and also by a bit of effort and hardship. So in this case, you pay 7.5% of whatever is harvested if you meet the nisab. So that's the three category. But in some cases, it will be around, it can be between 5 to 10%. If you have to calculate lah. That one we'll go through after this. So notes for establishing zakat on crops. These are some pointers. These rulings apply to the farmers who cultivate the crops. Those who buy crops for trade, zakat will not be zakat of these crops will not be applicable to them, but they are the zakat for them will be for the traders, zakat al-tijarah, because they buy crops and then they resell. So the zakat will be based on zakat tijarah, not zakat of crops, because these are for farmers who actually cultivate the crops. Then okay, haul is not a condition on zakat of crops. Then the next one is there is no zakat on land used for agriculture, even if it's leased for that purpose. So there is no zakat on the land. It's only zakat on the harvesting, on the crops itself. But there's no zakat on the land. Even if you lease a land for the purpose of business, of planting corns or planting for harvesting rice, for that sole purpose, still no zakat on the land. But if you lease out the land, you have to pay zakat on whatever you earn after a year. That will be under the zakat tijarah or zakat of nugget, the money. But for those who rent, no zakat. I mean the land itself. There's no zakat on the land itself. If crops, next point is, if crops have been irrigated by a known mix of natural and non-natural methods, that means with hardship, without hardship, and with hardship, the zakat have to be calculated accordingly to the type of irrigation used to the amount of crops that have benefited by the irrigation type, not how long you have irrigated or the number of times you irrigate the crop, but it depends on the benefit. That means the growth of the crops. This can be calculated or determined by the experts in these fields based on the types of crops and their growth. This can be calculated if you know how to calculate, or it's like it's straightforward. But if it's like very complicated, then you have to ask the experts, the ahli khibrah, the experts on these crops. They can tell you like this amount of water or rainwater or this kind of water will benefit how much to this kind of plants and this kind of crop. Then you have to base on that info to calculate what's your zakat. So we do a case study just to show that this what I mean by this known mix of natural and non-natural methods. So Z produced 1,200 kilograms of rice in 6 months. So that is more than 610 kilograms. So that means he has met the nisab. So now, if there are 4 scenarios. First scenario is the irrigation method is without hardship. So that means he pays 10% of whatever he have harvested. He harvested 1,200 kilograms in 6 months. That 6 months doesn't shows that it doesn't have to be 1 year. In 6 months or 3 months you can harvest. That means you have to pay zakat already. So if the irrigation is fully without hardship, so you pay 10% of 1,200 kilograms. Very straightforward. So you pay 120. Z pays 120 kilograms of zakat. So he have to take out 120 kilograms of rice to be paid, to be given to the poor as zakat. Second scenario is the irrigation method is with hardship. That means 5%, fully with hardship. That means with an effort through some water channels or whatever, you have to build some water irrigation or something. Then he pays 5% of whatever he harvested. So he pays 5% of 1,200 kilograms. That means 60 kilograms of rice is to be paid as zakat. Straightforward. Number 3 is also quite straightforward. Irrigated equally with and without hardship. That means half-half or together. With there is some rainwater and natural sources, and also he have to put in some machineries or equipment to flow some water that he purchased or something. So In this case, he pays 7.5% of whatever he harvested, which is 1,200 kilograms. So in this case, he pays 90 kilograms of zakat. Number 4, this is where it shows that it can be calculated according to the benefits of the crops. So the irrigation is without hardship for 4 months and with hardship for 2 months. That means some effort is being put for 2 months. The other 4 months is all by natural method, seawater or rainwater flow from river and all this. So natural 4 months, unnatural method 2 months. So how? We gather some info first. The growth is because we have 1,200 kilograms in 6 months. We harvested in 6 months. That means the crop grows at 200 kilograms per month. This is how they calculate. This we take that as if like the growth is steady. That means it doesn't spike. It's a normal growth. So let's say we take 200 kilogram per month, the growth. So 4 months without hardship is you take 4 months times 200 kilogram times 10%, because 4 months of without hardship is you pay 10%. So 4 months at 200 kilogram per month. So you have 800 kilograms for 4 months, which is affected by the growth is which growth is affected by water being irrigated for 4 months without hardship. So you take 10% to zakat, to pay the zakat. So it will be 80 kilograms. Then the 2 months with hardship, same thing, you do 2 months times 200 times 5%. So you get 20 kilograms. So then you add up both with hardship and without hardship. So 80 plus 20, you get 100 kilograms. That means you have to pay 100. Zaid has to pay 100 kilograms of zakat in this scenario for the number 4. In this scenario. So you can also calculate in like number of days. Let's say he knows 90 days of irrigation without hardship and the other 30 days with hardship. So you can calculate accordingly using days also. And you just have to know the growth of the beneficial growth, the growth that have benefited from the irrigation. But if the experts like the Ahlul Khibra say that okay, this growth is like the first few months is like this, then after that it slows down or it spike up or whatever, then you have to use all this data. But if not, then this the standard, you just divide accordingly. So that's some basics that we have went through with zakat on al-mu'asharat, the crops. So next one we will go into the next category of zakat. Inshallah next week. Allah a'lam. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا ربي علمنا الذي ينفعنا ربي فقهنا وفقه أهلنا وقرابة لنا في ديننا مع أهل الكتر أنثى وذكر ربي وفقنا وفقهم لما ترضي قولا وفعلا كرما وارزق الكل حلالا دائما وأخل أتقيا علماء نهضى بالخير ونكفى كل شر ربنا أصلح لنا كل الشؤور وأقرنا بالرضا ربنا أصلح لنا كل شؤون وأقرنا بالرضا منك العيون واقضي عنا ربنا كل الديون قبل أن تأتينا رسل المنون واغفر واستر أنت أكرم من ستر وصلاة الله توشع المصطفى من إلى الحق تعالى والوفاء بكتاب فيه للناس شفاء وعلى الآل الكرام الشرفاء وعلى صاحب مصابه الغرار اللهم اهدنا بهداك واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك ولا تولنا وليا سواك ولا تجعلنا ممن خلف أمرك وعصاك وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.